Keith, retiring after more than 30 years. Have you been doing a lot of reflecting lately?
Yeah, I guess. It's kind of weird, you know, I'll be 70 in a couple of months. I was 19 when I started down in Windsor, Detroit, so it's been 50 years to the week, actually, when I retire. So, yeah, it'll be weird. I worked my whole life since I was a kid. I used to carry out groceries at the supermarket, when I was 12.
A long career, one rooted in great ambition.
As we reported last night, last weekend's unexpected rainfall has resulted in near-record flooding in Muskokas.
Keith's first big TV news break outside of Toronto in Barrie, Ontario. The camera loved him, and from there, it was on to Canada's largest city.
Now, when you were the young cub, scrappy reporter, did you have ambitions to go to the United States?
Not in the beginning, I don't think, but I was 30 years old and I was at CTV in Toronto, the biggest market in Canada, so I thought there's a lot more opportunity in the United States for what I do.
Salt Lake City has a lot of radio stations.
And Keith made a splash. Even David Letterman taking notice of his talent.
I'm looking forward to it. I've heard wonderful things about you.
You have you?
Everybody seems to think you're too good for the market.
Well, that's what they say.
But do me a favor, send me a tape. I'll get you out of there. Don't worry about it.
He didn't need the late-night talk show host's help. By 1987, Keith's resume was in Buffalo, and WKBW TV quickly scooped up the natural talent.
And you started off as the 5 p.m. news anchor. That's what you were hired for. What was it like the first time that you met Irv Weinstein? I mean, the legend, you must have known going into it that there was this legend that you were going to be working alongside.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I met him in, one of the highlights of my career, working with him. I worked with him for 11 years here before he retired. Just the greatest, funniest guy. All we had to do was, passing each other in the hall, and we just look at each other and break out laughing, because he was such a funny guy.
Freezing. Oh, my, feeling chill. We'll be right back.
Can you share a couple of those memories?
He and I anchored together. I was his co-anchor for about 2 years at 6 o'clock and 11. So he would drag me into his office every night after the producers were done, and we'd have to go over all the script. And he would rip it all apart and roll his eyeballs. And he'd, I remember he would stop and he would look up and he'd say, "Keith, what the hell are they going to do when I'm gone?" In other words, no one was up to snuff with Irv, He was just such a fun. He made it fun to come to work every day. He really did.
In 2016, Keith visited the legendary anchorman at his home in California, where he had been living throughout retirement and battling ALS.
You never held anything back.
Got me in a lot of trouble.
It was the last time the old friends would see each other. Irv died a year later.
What do you think he taught you as you were growing up in the Buffalo news market?
Accuracy, and he always said he had a connection with the audience. When I look into the camera, I don't really think about looking into the camera. I just do my thing. I just present, like I'm talking to one other person.
Well, and that is part of the staying power that you've had, is that you've been able to connect with the audience in a very unique way. You walk down the street. I've walked down the street with you during many parades, and people who are both young and old are shouting your name. That speaks to the connection that you have been able to form with the community.
Hi, babe. How you doing? Good.
Nowhere is Keith more recognizable than in Lewiston, where he and his wife have lived since the 1990s. Keith is the Lord of Lewiston, but his dog Frankie is the real attraction.
He's better known than I am, I think. And I meet people here when I walk them every day. They say, "Oh, is that Frank?"
Frankie's popularity rose with the WKBW segment Fridays with Frankie.
Show me what you want. Cheese. Yeah, you like cheese.
You can't do any better than putting animals on TV.
That's
people.
True. Babies and dogs.
Yeah, they like animals better than people. Most people.
True.
He's kind of a cute little dog. He's kind of funny, and I made him even funnier. I tried to anyway.
But Keith's impact is felt far beyond this historic town, all across Western New York and Southern Ontario.
There's a relatability that you really do put through the camera, and for how you do that is something that I learn from every day. I don't know how you do it, how you can.
I don't know either. I just get on and do what I'm supposed to do and try and do the very best that I can.
But you have been able to do some pretty remarkable travel over the course of your career. So what are some of the most memorable stories that you've worked on?
We went to Poland with Lech Wałęsa when he became the first president of Poland. They had the first free elections there. That was pretty exciting. Spent 10 days in O.J. Simpson's driveway when all of that happened, from the day after the murders, and I knew him pretty well.
Yeah, what was that like? You were there, you were reporting, weren't you live?
I was, we moved downtown to Parker Center, police headquarters in LA, and we thought, okay, OJ's going to turn himself in. They had a news conference, and the police chief got up and said, OJ's never showed up and he's a fugitive. And we all went, what? So we all ran outside to do our live reports, and then all of a sudden on the monitor, the Bronco chase shows up. And people were saying, pinch me, is this really happening? He drove in the driveway, and I could see him sitting in the back seat. And then I saw they took him in. It was all glass windows, and you could see them booking him, taking his fingerprints and everything. And it was just very bizarre.
Keith's true love, covering the men and women of the U.S. Air Force, traveling with them for Hurricane Hugo relief.
We're at the Naval Air Station in Norfolk, Virginia, where we're picking up another 15,000 pounds of food and supplies.
And the Persian Gulf War in the early 1990s.
Niagara Falls Boulevard. Well, it's not the Niagara Falls Boulevard, the one that we know. This one is about 9,000 or 10,000 miles away.
What was that like?
These guys and ladies were supposed to only be there for a month, and it was 3 months, and most of them ended up a year and a half. They had to stay there. And we got to be there for 2 or 3 weeks and then come home. It was at Christmas time, and they were giving me stuff to bring home to their families here, cards and Christmas presents and things like that.
But what sticks with Keith the most, the story of Marine Corporal Jason Dunham. The Allegheny County native died during a tour in Iraq.
He was out on patrol one day with 5 guys, and an insurgent threw a grenade at him, and he took his helmet off, laid it on top of the grenade, and laid down on top of the grenade. And he died. 23. Who does that? Yeah. So I spent a day with his parents, and to look at his face, saved 5 people's lives. So that was, I had video of President Bush giving his mother the Medal of Honor. He was the first Marine in 40 years to be awarded the Medal of Honor. So that was pretty impactful for me.
For all the years that I've worked with you, you have made a point of thanking the members of the U.S. Armed Services at every opportunity. You did it at your last New Year's Eve broadcast. Why is it so important to you to share that publicly?
There's no greater honor, I don't think, than being in the American military. To provide a safe, free life that we have. And again, I'm not a born American. Like I've said many times, I was allowed to come here, live here, work here, bring my family here. And I was so grateful. I became a citizen as soon as I could. It's just a special place.
What's next for you as you enter this new chapter?
I have no idea. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I said, I'll be 70 in a couple months, so I guess I'm done working. I'm going to do something somewhere. I don't know. So we'll see. My brother-in-law owns a funeral home. He said I could drive the hearse for him. But I'd love to be driving the limousine for the family at the funeral. And my little cap on, and they're in the back, and one of them says, well, who is that guy? Yeah, that guy looks familiar. Who is that?
What will you miss the most about being a nightly news broadcaster?
Well, the most enjoyable part to me was in the studio when the camera went on. And all the other stuff leading up to it and everything, it was all right. But actually being on the air and talking, or especially if you're out and you did a story on your own and putting that together and then presenting that, I'll miss that, I guess. But I don't know, I'll find something else to do, I guess. I don't know. Anybody need anything?
What would you like to tell the people of Western New York, the people who have been watching you every night for the last 30-odd years?
Well, I've been really lucky. Most people in my business don't last this long at the same. I mean, I'm doing the exact same thing now as I did 34 years ago when I got here. So I happen to survive somehow. Don't know how. So I just want to thank people for watching. I hope I did some good stuff. I know I did some mediocre stuff, and I probably did some bad stuff once in a while. But I always tried to do the best I could for the audience, and I hope they got something out of it, learned a little bit, became a little more educated on a subject maybe or something. So I hope I did some good. I tried.